Police Minister Bheki Cele has been out and about in KwaZulu-Natal today. He says there may have been racial tensions in Phoenix, north of Durban, but criminality remains at the core of public violence and looting. At least 20 people have died in that area. Several others remain unaccounted for. Senior reporter Aviwe Mtila was part of the minister's walkabout in Phoenix earlier. Aviwe joins us now from Umhlanga. Aviwe, before I speak about the minister, I see you're at a petrol station. How bad have the queues been there?
Well, they are snaking the queues around this particular petrol station and many others in KwaZulu-Natal. We got ourselves here just about some 3 hours ago, and even driving in, Sally, you'd see those snaking queues in those petrol stations that even have petrol. In the particular one, just around Pietermaritzburg, where we filled up ourselves, we were one of the last people to get petrol there, as moments after we had filled up. Luckily, people were told that the petrol had then finished. But it's harrowing scenes that we're seeing in and around Durban, Sally. From one street to the next, you'd see the cars that are burnt dead in the middle of the road, the difficulty of having to snake through these streets. You'd see even in the neighborhoods, the people there that are there with sticks manning the streets themselves, checking in whether you're a resident or not. Just harrowing scenes, Sally, something out of a war zone even, just in describing what we've been met with in coming to Durban today.
Yeah, so we're looking at a province and parts of the province, certainly the metros, dealing with fuel shortages and also people queuing hours for food. And also, as the acting minister in the presidency has just confirmed, 91 deaths now in that province in the past week. But you were with the police minister when he was in Phoenix earlier today, and this is relating to the deaths of, I think, in total now about 20 people. What did he have to say about that?
20 confirmed deaths in Phoenix, but there are still bodies that are missing, Sally, so there could be additional numbers to those deaths. The minister didn't want it to be drawn into whether those deaths were racially charged, but what he did do was drift them away from the police, mentioning that none of those deaths were because of the police. A lot of those deaths were at the hands of the communities themselves. But what's unclear at this stage, Sally, is whether it's because of what we've been seeing a lot of it in Gauteng, where the people are dying because of the stampedes that are happening as the looting's going on, or because of what we've been seeing and hearing in social media around the racially charged killings in and around some of these areas. But the minister did say, though, that the tensions in Durban itself have quite calmed down. It's a different scene from what he was met with last night, where he says that he felt as if there was no vision. So, in fact, he says the situation is much calmer now. The defense minister is in the province together with senior army personnel, and the SANDF, in fact, itself is on the ground here, and from tomorrow they'll be visiting a number of townships, including the Fambai township, Phoenix itself, as well as Zwelicha, to assess the damage on the ground and try to quell what's remaining of the riots that we've been seeing over the last number of days. But the minister did touch on that racial profiling. Let's just listen in on that.
I refuse to completely take the situation here as a racial situation and pardon criminality. Because if it were a racial situation, we would not have seen, yes, indeed, many people coming from Zwelicha died. There are few people died this, but they've been very much comrades in stealing. There are people that have raided these shops from Phoenix. There are people that raided shops from these other communities, Zwelicha, Pambai. So they've been comrades there in stealing. Why? For me, the domination here would be criminality. And yes, indeed, the racial connotation has been there. We are not helped by social media on these things. Yes, there is problem here, but from our side, leadership, we will not really concur very much. If there is that element of racism, it will be secondary to criminality. We are running criminality in this community. And the cases that are being investigated here are 14, and confirmed dead people, 20 bodies. but some people are missing. Those bodies might go up.
Of course, Aviwe, the security is one concern in KwaZulu-Natal, and the acting minister in the presidency saying a little earlier that while there are still incidents, and there have been incidents, it's calmer than it was, though still somewhat volatile in KwaZulu-Natal. But the big issue, of course, is also around the impact on health, the rollout of vaccines, the supply of medicines in this area. A lot of it, of course, disrupted by the closure of the N3 and the destruction of pharmacies, of warehouses, of malls.
Yes, Sally, the health system and hospitals have not been spared the brunt of the looting and the riots that we've seen in and around KwaZulu-Natal. At the core of them is the issue of staffing. A lot of staff members haven't been able to go to work, Sally, because of the closure of roads, the burning of cars that we've been seeing, and just the chaos on the streets. So a lot of them have had to stay away. In a conversation I had with the MEC mentioning how they now ramping up the plans around transporting some of those staff members. But of course, a lot of them have been locked inside those hospitals, unable to go home, just basically waking up again, sleeping in the hospitals, waking up to work again while worried about their families and their safety back at home. Another issue, well, one that's on the lurk, that's basically lurking, is just around the oxygen itself. Given the supply of it, if it's not dealt with these issues of riots, the shortage of oxygen may be on the rise in KwaZulu-Natal. But another issue, Sally, is around those deaths that we've heard. Over 90 people have died around KwaZulu-Natal, but the issue has been collecting those dead bodies amid the riots, essentially, that have been happening. An issue that I touched with the MEC of Health in KwaZulu-Natal, Nomakuku Simelane. Let's listen on that.
eThekwini in particular is hardest hit in terms of those that have passed on and bodies that are on the road and in other sites where there have been skirmishes. We have found it to be quite difficult to get to those bodies. As a result, we had to engage the SAPS to accompany some of our forensic pathology services motor vehicles so that we are able to go and pick up the bodies. But we've also had to extend an invitation to the private people to come and assist us, those that are running mortuaries and those that have businesses, to come and assist us in picking up those bodies. That is how we've been able to pick up and, try and manage the best we can. It's not been a problem in other districts as such, but at eThekwini it is extremely hard, and it's very traumatizing to the families to see your loved ones sleeping there for more than 12 hours just because the vehicles cannot get through. It really is a problem.
Yeah, so clearly still a lot of concerns, even with some signs that the situation is starting to calm in KwaZulu-Natal. Lots of areas to manage. So I think the news that 10,000 troops are already across the two provinces, with 15,000 more to come, will certainly be welcome. Thank you so much for that update at this hour. Aviwe Mtila coming just live from Umhlanga this evening. Well.